Hey guys, welcome back for another tutorial. In today's video I'm going to be building Gnembon's 1.16 friendly Pigman XP and gold farm. It's a super efficient design. It's also fairly straightforward to build. It's a little different than the custom donut shaped ones, but also works a lot quicker and can actually produce the maximum amount of experience that a player can absorb in a given amount of time. So to start off, we're going to go ahead and find a section on the nether roof where we're going to be in the nether wastes, since that will cut down on the annoying mobs and still give us the correct pigmans that we need. And then we're going to go ahead and build a platform up at Y174. So we'll go ahead and jump and build our tower all the way up there. Okay. Now that we're at Y174, this is going to be the player AFK and killing zone. Well, you're not going to kill the player, but this is where the player is going to do the killing. So then we will build a small T here, and then you want to place a block in front. It doesn't have to be a glass block, just some sort of block. This way the pigmans cannot get to you. And we'll go ahead and frame in this area here. The idea is that the player will be able to stand here and swing their sword, and pigmans will fall into one of these three squares, and then they will die. So then from here we need to go up another 24 blocks. Okay, and then once we're up our 24 blocks from our platform, will be at Y198, and this is where we are going to begin building our platforms. So this is where the zombie pigmen will actually start to spawn, and then on each side here, and I will mark that with... oh sure, let's put a redstone block there, just as a marker of sorts. This redstone block is going to be where our columns will be, so that the pigmen will jump into here and then fall down and then be in the kill area for the player to kill. So then from here we are going to go ahead and build out our platforms. Okay, and then in order to start building the platform, what we're going to do is we're going to place one block here. So it will be whatever you want your chute to be made out of. You can do glass, you can do stone. It really doesn't matter. And then we're going to go out 5 blocks of magma. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll end up with a line like this. And then we're going to come out 1, and then out like that. So we're basically going to make a fork here, just like that. And then we'll go over 2 more. So this outside edge will be 3. And we'll tuck in 1 and go over 2, and then we'll do that one more time, tuck in 1, go over 2, and then we're going to come in 2 blocks so that we end up with a fork just like that, and then we'll tuck up 1, and then we'll come over 2, and then we'll connect our platform just like that. Again, let me get over there. If you don't want to hold shift the entire time while you're working on this, you can just go ahead and put Frostwalker onto your boots, or get some Frostwalker boots, and you won't take any damage from magma blocks, but I'm just going to hold shift for now, because I haven't gone too crazy. 2, 3. So again, here's our initial fork. We have a 3 length, tuck in 1, go over 2, and tuck in 1, go over 2, grab some more magma, and this one we're going to go in 2, like this, and then we'll tuck up 1 if you're looking in the same direction, and then come over 2, go up 1, tuck over 2. There we go. That'll put you dead center on this ring. And so we'll go ahead and finish out following the same way for the other half, and then just fill it in with magma. Okay, and so then when you have your finished platform, it'll look something like this. You do want to leave, it's a 3x3 area here, so you'll have your central pillar, and then the 2 kill chutes, which will correspond down onto the AFK platform, and then you want to leave the 4 corners open as well. That way you can build wall for your chute for the pigmans, which we will do once we get all the platforms built. So we're going to go ahead and build a total of 19 platforms. So on top of this one, we're going to build 18 more, and you just go up 2 levels because a zombie pigman needs 2 level headspace, and then on that 3rd level, that will be your new platform. So you're just going to follow that exact same template from the other lower level. So 1 block, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we'll just go ahead and trace that bottom one, and check in once we have all the platforms made. Okay, now that we've got all of our decks built down below, so you can see a whole bunch of pigmen already spawning. It looks like the farm is going to work just fine for us, but we're up on Y252, and the build limit is 256. So this is going to be our top deck here, because we can't build any higher, but we do also need to make sure that we stop ghast from spawning. So we're going to go up another 3 blocks here, and we're going to take some stone slabs. And then these stone slabs, you want to make sure that they're bottom slabs, because those will be unspawnable. And then we're just going to go ahead and go out like that on both sides, making sure to make sort of like a vented roof, where ghasts need a 4x4x5 area to spawn. So by adding in a few of these struts, we can actually stop ghast from spawning and then causing issues with mob cap or blasting the player while they're down below AFKing. Here, just going to go ahead, 1, 2. I like to just leave a 2 wide gap, and then we'll just make a pillar out to the edge here. And we're just going to do that for all of these. Ghast get very annoying, and especially ghast can destroy magma blocks. So you want to make sure that your farm is not going to spawn any ghasts. You could also do this with glass. Glass is also non-spawnable. You just need to make sure that the block itself won't spawn any creatures and desirables. Okay, so now that we've got that done, go ahead and remove this top part of the pillar here. Uh-oh, lost a magma block. Magma block, come back. Back onto the top. Okay. Go. So now we have our anti-ghast shield on top here. And then what we're going to want to do, we're going to need, in Gnembon's video, which I'll link in the description, he uses string. You can also use levers, or I'm just going to use buttons because they're cheaper. And I'm doing this in survival. So then we're going to go ahead on the outside of all of our platforms. We're going to place buttons, just like this. Then on the outside of our buttons, we're going to be adding in a glass layer. We're actually going to be going out pre-blocks, and this is to be able to catch all of the pack spawns. Because the way that mob spawning works is the game is going to choose a location, and then it can spawn up to 4 more mobs within a certain radius of that spot. So it can choose a spot out here. If there's glass on it, this spot will not spawn, but if any of the magma blocks are within the radius, mobs will go ahead and spawn on there, so we get more surface area for our farm to collect mobs on. So we're going to go ahead, we'll just place buttons on the outside layer, and then we'll go ahead and add the glass blocks on the outside as well. And we're going to want to do that for all of the floors. So we'll catch back in here once that is done. Okay, now that we've gotten all of our glass done, I went ahead and I double-checked the reference video. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have 7 glass blocks from the edge. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you get a large square platform going around. And again, you want to make sure that you have a button, or a lever. That way they can't walk from the magma onto the glass. So you don't want any platforms touching kitty corner like this. You want to make sure that there's nice and open space. That way the pigmans don't try and walk onto the glass and they just fall down the center. Then our next project, what we're going to do is we're going to build the actual kill chutes for the pigmans. So what we want to do for this is we've got our T coming all the way up, and we're going to use the 2 outshoots of the T as the area where the pigmans are going to drop in, and then they're going to fall. So then what we want to do is we want to make a chute that's going to have glass on one side, so just like this. And then we're going to put grindstones on the other. The grindstones are just wide enough so that it will stop the pigmans from blocking themselves and getting stuck, but it'll still give a narrow enough point that they will drop straight down. So we want to go ahead and we want to make a chute all the way down through our levels, down to the bottom kill platform. And I will jump back here when that is done. Okay, so we got our kill chamber set up where we've got our grindstones that extend all the way down to the bottom level, and then we went ahead and built a glass wall here as well. So this way, the only way that the piglins can get into this center column, which is going to be where our turtle eggs are, is by walking through either this side or this other side. So what we're going to do next is we're going to place our turtle eggs in the center column and put trap doors on the center column as well. That way the pigmans think that they can walk to the turtle eggs to stomp on them, but they actually can't because the trapdoor will be flipped up, and then they will fall down our chute. Let me go ahead and grab some trapdoors and I'll show you how this part is done. So now that we've gotten our trapdoors, I'm here on the bottom level of the farm. It is where I'm going to start placing the turtle eggs. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out this middle column, or of the middle column, we're going to take out the block that is at eye level. And on that block, that is the one that we want to place our turtle eggs onto. So we'll place one turtle egg. We will place it. Trap doors, just like that. And then we're going to remove the block that's there. The way that AI pathfinding works is they believe the trapdoor is flat so that they could walk across it and get to the turtle egg. However, since it is closed, they actually can't, so they're just going to walk themselves right off the cliff into our kill chamber. And that is exactly what we want. So now that this level is fully enclosed like that, we're just going to go ahead and go up. You can actually skip levels with the turtle eggs. You can skip you have to do a turtle egg every other level. So on this bottom level, it's at face level, and then it will be one block below this next level, and that will work just fine. It actually saves you a little bit of turtle eggs, but you do need to put the trapdoors, otherwise the pigman will not be able to get to the egg. So I'm going to go ahead and jump up and get these eggs placed, and we'll catch you back after that. This is a note from post-production me. And just to make sure, with the turtle eggs, you want to make sure that there are 2 open spots above them. That way, there is enough space for a zombie pigman to stand on it, otherwise the pathing will not work. So you need the space where the egg is actually sitting on the block, and then you need to remove 2 blocks above that. That way the pigmans will path towards the egg. And now carrying on with the rest of the video. Okay, now that we've gotten all of our grindstones placed, and our blocks, you can see that the pigmen are starting to target towards the turtle eggs. How are you getting stuck? Here, they shouldn't be able to get stuck. Oh, that grindstone is placed the wrong way. You don't want to have the grindstones attached to the walls, you want them to be narrow. That way there is enough space for the pigmans to go ahead and walk in, and then fall all the way down. So the next step that we're going to work on is we're going to head down to our AFK platform, or our swing away platform, I guess. I went ahead and made this a little bit larger just so that I can hopefully land on it, since I'm playing in survival Minecraft. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and build take 3. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this box here, and we're going to go all the way up, creating a solid chute that the pigmans can drop into. That way you don't end up with any of them falling at wonky angles or trying to escape or anything like that. So we'll jump back here once I get all of the chute put together. So now that we've got all of our platforms built up above, got all of our glass placed around them, our next job is going to be to finish up the chute here. So when we build the chute, we want to make sure that we keep the grindstones in line with the ones that are up above, otherwise pigmans are going to get stuck on like a little cliff edge up there, and they're not actually going to be able to fall down into the kill chamber. So we're going to go ahead and finish that up, but then also when you get down to the chamber down here, I went ahead and modified Gnembon's original design slightly, because I don't think you need a double piston extender for moving the honey blocks. I haven't found any need for it. So what I just did is I came over to the side, and I placed a single block with a sticky piston with a lever on it, so that way, if we want to change this from AFK mode, where the pigmans just drop to their death, you flip the lever, pull it back, and it will retract the honey blocks. Now, it is important to note that anywhere that a honey block touches, you want to make sure that you have a non-sticking block. So I used glazed terracotta in this design, since honey and slime blocks don't stick to it. It also doesn't stick to this ender chest here, and this is actually important. If we close this off and you put a trapdoor right there, and you have your ender chest right below it, so if you're swinging here, the ender chest actually allows the experience to flow forward, whereas if it's a full block, since the honey block is technically not quite a full block, there's a little bit of a lip there, and the experience will actually just get stuck and not be able to flow forward. So you need this front center block to be a block that is not movable by honey, and also a smaller block. So I opted for the ender chest. It works really well. It gives you the full range of motion, and then when you move the honey, the ender chest doesn't move, so it actually keeps the chamber open. So after we have this bottom kill area sorted out, our next step is going to be moving on to the hopper system below. So it is recommended, or at least in Gnembon's original video, he has like a full 2x7 hopper deck here. You really just need to make sure that you have the 3 with the downspouts that correspond to right underneath the kill chamber. And then also I noticed that when the honey block is in the AFK position, sometimes loot will get stuck up on the honey block underneath the grindstones, so I added hoppers underneath those honey blocks, That way we can pick up those drops as well. And then I just loop those into the main 3 downspouts. So the next task that we're going to have to do is build the super suckers underneath these hoppers. So we're going to go ahead and we will start by building a small platform 2 blocks underneath the deck here. So we have 1, 2, and then we need 14 hoppers. Okay. So now we come back down below, and we have 14 hoppers. So we have our 3 downspouts here, and then we have a deck going 7 across and then 2 wide that are all pointing straight down, and that will feed into the the dropper configuration that will collect the items for us. So we are 2 blocks below the hoppers, and we are going to start with the super sucker construction. So what we do is we put 2 temporary blocks underneath each of the downspout, or the 2 side downspouts, leaving the middle one blank for now. We put a piston off to the side with a glass pane between the piston and the block. For both sides, we put a glass pane below the side hopper here. Kind of hard to see, but trust me, it's there. And we do the same on the other side. And then you also want to make sure that there is a glass pane on top of the one where the piston is. So then we go ahead and we place our hopper minecart like so, and like so. And then we fire the piston, which should, in theory, move the glass pane underneath the hopper minecart. Yep, just like that. So we can remove this temporary block. And then we want to shove this minecart back into the corner created by these 2 glass panes. There we go. And so even though it looks a little wonky, it is exactly where it needs to be. So then we're going to go ahead and replace that same thing on this other side. So we'll go ahead and remove that temporary block, and we are going to shove this minecart back into the corner created by those glass panes. Okay. And you can see, even with the minecart visibly tilted, when you turn on hitboxes, it's actually straight up and down, and it's above 4 of the hoppers, which is exactly what we want. And then after we have placed our 2 floating minecarts like that, we're going to come and we're going to place grindstones. First in that corner, and then in that corner. And then same thing on this other side. That way we can have a spot for the next hopper minecart. So then we'll build in a rail just like that. Throw in our cart. And then again, we want to walk it into the corner much as possible. And you can yet again see with hitboxes on that the line technically goes over, just over into these 2 side hoppers, which means that this hopper minecart will split its load between those 4 hoppers, which is exactly what we want to do. Since each hopper can only handle 9,000 items per hour, we need to split up the load, and this is how you can do that. So we're going to go ahead, place a rail, and then the hopper minecart, and shove this one back into that corner as well. You can technically remove these grindstones once these ones have been placed, however, there's really no reason to do that. If you leave them in place, it just means that it's more robust and less likely that your minecarts will slip out by accident. So then what we're going to do is we're going to start working on our center hopper here, and we're going to build a U with our glass panes. We'll place 1 rail just like that, down in the middle. And this one you want to place 2 hopper minecarts on. So there's 1. And there's 2. And then when you walk into them, you should be able to see that they split. So that way they cover two different directions, and then we're going to break the rail underneath, and we're going to shove these two forward into those glass panes. So that way we end up with a U, and then the two hopper minecarts inside, which are balanced over 6 hoppers. That is going to help split up the flow from the center downspout. Okay, to start working on the center downspout, we're going to come below it, or place a block there. And then we will add our rail and hopper minecart on top of that. And then we will come back a block, place a piston, just like before. We will add a pane of glass between the piston and the block, and then we will fire the piston. So you'll see that the hopper minecart is now balancing on a pane of glass right below that center hopper, which is exactly what we're going for. So then we will go ahead and work our way around and place some extra blocks, that way I can get around here. You will, if you decide that you want to leave that platform underneath the hoppers, want to make sure that either it's slabbed or that it's made out of glass. That way no pigman spawn down here. But then to finish the center chute, we'll remove that temporary block that we had. And then inside of this 3 wide area, we're going to go ahead and essentially make a U out of our glass panes. So we'll add one there and one there so that it comes forward right next to the grindstones, and you can see that there's a little bit of a U here. So then we will place a rail right in the middle of it, and this is where our last 2 hopper minecarts are going to go. So you'll place one, and you may have to shift click the other one, but there you go, you have 2 minecarts on top of that rail, so when you walk into it, you should be able to see them split. And then you want to very carefully remove the rail underneath, and then step forward and shove these 2 minecarts into the back wall. And you can see that these 2 are now below this hopper, or the hopper minecart that's below the middle chute, so that'll spread the middle hopper over these 6 hoppers, and then the 2 side chutes each get 4 hoppers below. So then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to start working on the dropper mechanism that will start the collection system. So our next step is we're going to come down underneath our hopper deck, and we are going to place droppers facing down on one side of this. So we'll put 7 droppers that'll face down, and then right underneath those hoppers, or those droppers, you want to place cobwebs. And cobwebs will slow it down and collect the drops. Then we are going to place hoppers feeding in from the first deck down into those droppers, so that way they get filled at double speed. There we go. And then we are going to make our way around town to the side with the droppers. And we're going to do a little bit of redstone here. So then you place blocks. Again, anywhere that I'm using these stone bricks, they're going to be temporary blocks. So then we'll use some stone to mark that these stay. And we will place a block just behind all of the droppers. And then from there, we are going to come down one level, go to that level, so we will be here. And if you're following along at home, I'm on Y169. So if you want to double check that you're still at the right elevation to make sure that things are going to work smoothly for you, that is the elevation. And we're going to make a 2 wide pathway here. So then, coming out of the solid stone block that is attached to the dropper, we're going to place a comparator. And this comparator is going to detect if there's anything in the system. And then coming out from the comparator, we will place a repeater. And you want to make sure the repeater is at 4 ticks, so all the way extended. And then we are going to yet again come behind these repeaters, and we will place a stone block just like that. So that way the redstone signal will extend into the block here and power that. And then we are going to place sticky pistons. Help if I brought my slime down. 1 second. Then we will place sticky pistons on top of these blocks. And you can see since there's stuff in the system, they're firing, which is what we want. And then I'm going to remove this temporary walkway that we had put up while we were working on the minecarts. And we are going to replace that with observers. So when you place the observer, you want to make sure that his little behind is going to be facing into the hopper. Okay, so now that we have all of our observers here facing into the sticky pistons, what we're going to do is we're going to come over to the sticky pistons, and we are going to actually place observers facing into these other observers. So we want the faces to touch. We want the observers to essentially kiss for us. So this way you can see the arrows facing out, facing in opposite directions from each other, and that will actually create a pulse which should fire the circuit. And you can see down below there is stuff falling through the compost, which is exactly what we are going for. So I'm going to go ahead and place the rest of these observers real quick. Okay, and now that I've got all the observers facing into each other, you can see some of them starting to retract, and that is when there are no items left in the hoppers. They will retract, so they're not always firing the droppers. Then after this, we are going to go ahead and start work on the actual item collection system that will take place below this. To start working on our sorting system, we're going to come down below, and at the back where we had built in our pistons, we are going to put in a stone block with a gap. So that way there's the piston, 1 block, a gap, and then another block. And we're actually going to place some redstone. Oh, that was lucky. I'm going to place some redstone on that shelf. And then we're going to come down below the shelf. Right in the middle, we are going to place a note block. Looks something like that. And extending downwards from the note block, we want to place a sticky piston. And from that sticky piston, we want to suspend a redstone block. So the idea here is that if there are items in the sorting system, as you can see when items start firing, the redstone on this line will go ahead and power the piston, which will extend down and plug into the device that we are about to create, which will fire the stacker and the item delivery system. Okay, so at the level where the redstone block is, when it is not extended, we are going to place a comparator. So you want the two sticks facing towards the block. We'll wrap it around, and then we are going to be placing another comparator just like so. In the At the end of the block, we are going to place a redstone torch. So that's going to act as a inverter, and then we will go ahead and place a mushroom block at the end of that comparator as well. On that mushroom block, you want to place a redstone torch facing forward, and then we're going to swing around to the other side. Okay, and from here, we are going to add in a second redstone torch onto the mushroom block, and the mushroom light on that side, so the block will be surrounded by a dust, a comparator, and then it'll have two torches onto it. And then below, and then block over and down, we want to add in, so right here, we want to add in a couple repeaters. So we will add in two repeaters coming out of the redstone torch. First repeater, we want to be setting it to max. The second one, we only want 3 ticks. And then from there, we will place another mushroom block so that we don't get any social zombies spawning. And then a redstone dust, a normal block, and another piece of redstone. Then we will go ahead and add in one more block there, and a redstone dust connecting the side torch into the actual circuit, and that is what is going to make our clock function. And then from this, we want to go one block up, so we'll go ahead and make a stair, add in a redstone dust, and then we need to put in a sticky piston right next to that redstone. We want the sticky piston to be facing, oh, that was the right direction, wrong spot. So we're going to place sticky piston just like this one. So that way we have it going from here into the sticky piston, and that's exactly what we want. Then, Gnembon uses honey blocks. I'm going to use slime blocks. They are serving essentially the same function here. I think he just chose his for color purposes. It works nicely with the gold color that he is also building his farm out of. However, since I haven't run it, I am not sitting on excessive amounts of gold. So then we're going to build an L out of the 3 slime blocks. Just like that. Makes sort of a small staircase. And you want to put in some glazed terracotta underneath it. So 3 glazed terracotta will go underneath. And then at the end of that, we want to go ahead and put in mushroom lights. So it'll be a staircase of mushroom lights, and then we'll add one on top, and one on top of the piston as well. And that is half of the item compression system. So we're going to skip a block, and then we're basically going to mirror it on the other side. So we'll go block, terracotta, 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 and then we'll go ahead and grab our slimes and make our little staircase. Oh, one block over. Slime, slime, slime. And then mushroom, mushroom, mushroom light. To build over a little bit more. Just like that. And then another mushroom light on top of that piston. Okay, so now we have the two different pistons set up. So now we just need to plug them into the circuit. So again, anywhere that touches a slime block that you don't want to move, use glazed terracotta. Then we are going to put in a block here, make a small staircase up to the piston, and we will run some redstone up there as well. Redstone. There we go. Redstone. Okay. And then to hook up this side here, we're going to plug in a repeater to the block underneath the piston, and we'll set that to 4 ticks. We'll do a redstone dust coming out of that, and then a repeater going into that block. So it'll be redstone torch, repeater, into a block. That block will power the redstone dust into the next repeater, and it'll fire just like that. And you can see it is slowly but surely starting to collapse items down into the center point here, which is exactly what we want. That means that our item stacking is working ideally. So now that we've gotten both of our side pushers fixed and running, we're going to go ahead and continue on. So we're going to place one block there, and we will put a note block right underneath. So it will be our mushroom with the torches on it, a open gap, and then a note block. And then next to that note block, we are going to go ahead and place a piece of glazed terracotta. And then we are going to continue to build a staircase down a couple blocks. Then underneath our note block, we want to go ahead and place a sticky piston facing forward. So let's see, get the angle here. Just like that. And then you want to add a honey block in front of the sticky piston. That way it's underneath the glazed terracotta, so the glazed terracotta will not move. And then we'll go ahead and add in another block just like that. And then we're going to go down one more level of the staircase. So that way we have 3 terracotta diagonally. We will add in 1 mushroom light below that even. And then we are going to add in redstone dust coming down just like that. We are also going to add in a repeater set to 4 ticks again on top of the mushroom light. And then we are so close to being done with this. We are going to add in right in front of that repeater, we want to add in sticky piston. So that way it fires. And then we want to add in a slime block in front of that. So then, the slime block is actually going to shove everything along our pathway here, so it's time to make that. So we'll go ahead and add in, again, anywhere the slime block touches, you want it to be terracotta. And then we'll add in some ice blocks, because the idea is going to be that the slime block will actually just shove all of the items down this ice block path. So we are getting very close. We just need to build the spot where stuff transitions from coming straight down and then where it gets shoved onto the ice. And to do that, we actually use an ender chest. So we're going to go ahead and create a spot here for items to collect. Right next to, you can see. So items will drop, they'll land on the ender chest. The honey block will then push them just barely off, and then the slime block will yeet them down the ice trail, just like that. And then the ice trail is actually going to straddle where our item sorters will be. So then we're actually just going to build a number of item sorters down this trail and then end the trail in a pile of lava. So we'll pull out everything that we want. and then get rid of the rest, essentially. That way we don't create too much lag on the server with having too many floating entities. But you can see that as items come down, they're just going to get shoved straight towards us, and that's how we distribute 90,000 items an hour. So you can see, shove those, and then shove the nuggets all the way down. So I will get those sorters built and check back with you in a bit. So underneath the entire farm, we went ahead and added in just standard item sorters right off the edge of the ice block, so that as items come in and drop down, they fall down onto this ender chest and then are shoved in, and the sticky piston beats them across the ice line. So I sort for gold nuggets, gold ingots, as well as rotten flesh. Since down below I have a number of clerics that I can trade the rotten flesh and also the extra gold for in order to get emeralds. I will also be hooking up some piglin trading, so that way I can use piglin bartering. But then for all of the swords and all of the random stuff that comes through the farm that isn't collected, it just goes right into a lava source. That way we don't generate any lag with a billion entities sitting in here. So that is the tutorial on how you build Gnembon's 90,000 drops an hour gold farm. I appreciate you guys hanging out and checking in. If you guys have any other ideas on farms that you want me to cover tutorials on, go ahead, drop those down in the comments. But thanks again for watching.